Families, let's run through some Israel things that have popped up on the radar now in the last 24 hours. So the first one, in unusual move, the European Parliament condemns Hamas and says it must be eliminated. The European Parliament passed a non-binding resolution on Thursday calling for the Iran-backed Hamas terror organization to be eliminated following the gruesome Hamas massacre of October 7. The resolution was passed by an overwhelming majority, 500 to 21 of the parliamentarians in favor. In its resolution, the European Parliament condemned in the strongest possible terms the despicable terrorist attacks committed by the group Hamas against Israel and expressed its support for the state of Israel and its people, reiterating that the terrorist organization Hamas needs to be eliminated. Furthermore, the parliamentarians asked for the unconditional release of more than 200 hostages held by Hamas in Gaza, including babies and elderly people, noting that the abductions constitute a war crime. Yet, at the same time, they've tripled aid into the area, and they want Israel to hold off on a ground invasion. So eliminate them, but don't go in there, where they live, where they operate, where they fight from, where they're shooting rockets from. Don't. Just don't. Top US lawmaker calls on State Department to declare Hamas massacre a genocide. US Rep. Michael McCall, the chairman of the powerful House Foreign Affairs Committee, has called on the State Department to declare Hamas massacre of Israelis on October 7 an act of genocide. In a letter sent on Thursday to U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice, Beth van Schaik, McCall described the legal requirements for genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. He listed evidence from Hamas itself to argue that the Palestinian terrorist group's slaughter of more than 1,400 people, mostly civilians, during the invasion of Israel met all those requirements. Documents recovered from Hamas death squads demonstrate that the assault was meticulously planned to devastate kibbutzim, schools, youth centers, and kill as many people as possible. Hamas plainly intended to destroy a substantial part of the Jewish people and the state of Israel. Under such circumstances, the requisite intent for the atrocity is the only inference that could reasonably be drawn from the acts in question. So, spot on. He's 100% correct. Will the world forget that and keep rousing on Israel and telling them to back off? Yes. Syrians tried to bomb Israeli embassy in Cyprus. Cypriot police were on high alert on Saturday last week after an improvised explosive device was thrown 30 meters away from Israel's embassy in Nicosia. The homemade bomb exploded at 1:30 a.m. Following the blast, 2 people walking near the Israeli mission were detained and the other 2 were in a car. Police found 2 knives, a hammer also, and other things in the vehicle. The 4 arrested are all Syrian nationals between the ages of 17 and 21. Security at the embassy has now been reinforced. We're seeing this on a worldwide platform. They're attacking Jews and Israel and embassies and things like that everywhere. And they're now doing this with American embassies too, because they loop those two together. They always have. They want both wiped out. IDF intercepts aircraft headed to Israel from Lebanon. The IDF on Friday evening intercepted an aircraft that was headed towards Israeli airspace from Lebanese territory. The IDF spokesperson's unit said there was no infiltration of Israeli airspace. So, testing how quick the response times are, preparing maybe from an attack from the air. This is all just warm up for what's lying ahead, in my opinion. Israeli cabinet approves the measures to shut down Al Jazeera News Bureau. Brilliant. Israel is at war. We will in no way allow broadcasts that harm the security of the state, said Israeli Communications Minister Shlomo Karhi. The measures will enable authorities to order television providers to stop broadcasting, close its offices in Israel, seize its equipment, shut down its website, and revoke press credentials for staff. Israel is at war on land, in the air, at sea, and in the mind. We will in no way allow broadcasts that harm the security of the state of Israel. Al Jazeera's broadcasts and reports constitute incitement against Israel, serving Hamas, Daesh, ISIS, in propaganda and encouraging violence against Israel, thereby harming the security of the state. So, cheers Al Jazeera. Good luck finding a closer spot than what you had at the moment. Israeli forces raid Samaria, home of Hamas' second in command. Israeli soldiers entered Al-Arouri's home in the village of Arouri, located north of Ramallah, at dawn on Saturday and arrested more than 20 people. Al-Arouri, who is currently based in Lebanon and Hamas' top commander in Judea and Samaria, is Ismail Haniyeh's deputy. Israeli forces thereafter raised a banner over the home showing Al-Arouri on the backdrop of the Israeli flag and captioned, "This was the house of Saleh Al-Arouri and has become the headquarters of Abu al-Nimr, Israeli intelligence." Hilarious. So that's just to rub the enemies up the wrong way and provoke them as well, which will cause them to come out of their hidey holes, and then Israel can keep dealing with the threats that they're dealing with. Turkey's Erdogan, our Trojan horse, who's been showing his true colors very much lately, discussed Gaza with Hamas leader. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan discussed Gaza in a phone call with the leader of the Palestinian militant group Hamas. Erdogan told Haniyeh about Ankara's efforts for a ceasefire, for humanitarian aid to reach Gaza, and possible treatment of the wounded in Turkey. Since then, things have gone a little bit south now that Turkey realizes that Hamas has been lying about a lot of things like the hospital strike, and that has actually caused damage in countries like Turkey where riots took place afterwards. So relations are very bumpy at the moment when people all jump on lies every 3 seconds when they come out. At some stage, the world's got to realize that the people that are lying all the time are liars, and you shouldn't trust what they say. Proportionality in response to terror. Israel was attacked by Hamas on Shemini Atzeret, Shimchat Torah, the last day of the high holiday season, in a devastating assault against civilians. Some immediately called for Israel's response to be proportionate. An Israeli defended herself and prepared for a likely, as Israel defended herself and prepared for a likely incursion into Gaza against terrorists who brutally murdered 1,400 Israeli civilians and kidnapped hundreds more. The Irish government minister was among the first to urge Israel to proportionalize her response. Now, Naftali Bennett has responded to this as well. It's pathetic, and others in Israel have also responded to this. If you're saying proportionate, you're saying do to them as they did to you, exactly the same, no more. So then Israel should grab some paragliders, paraglide into Gaza, and indiscriminately rape, murder, kill, destroy, cut off heads until they get to that number, and then capture 210 plus people and remove them from Gaza to Israel and let them disappear. Sounds sick. That's proportionate. That's how that kind of statement makes zero sense. Whereas Israel is targeting Hamas, not the civilians. Hamas is using civilians as shields. From the latest news of this morning, they've forced almost 30,000 Gazan citizens to go and stack themselves around a hospital where their main theater of operations is. So civilians are their shield. It's a twisted, evil snake that they're dealing with. And unfortunately, they need to deal with it because it's going to keep coming back and spawning little snakes that are going to keep biting. And Israel knows this, and Israel is going after it now. Netanyahu is going to have to reach a point where he decides politics and world opinion is not important to him, but his people are. And if he doesn't get there quickly, then the other leaders that are standing there are going to take over his job for him. They've already said if anyone had to vote right now, Netanyahu is retired, gone. The others will take over because the approach is different. Netanyahu seems to be waiting on and holding on to whatever Biden is saying. That should not be how they're conducting this operation. They should get it done and then move forward as fast as possible. And that is not the case right now. Again, pray for Israel, pray for the peace of Jerusalem, pray for wisdom for the leadership, and just pray in general for more and more people on all sides to come to a saving grace knowledge of Jesus Christ our Lord. Shalom.